A very good evening to you. Glad to have you join us for an hour and a half of news from different parts of Nigeria and beyond, treated with the extra touch of fine details to give you all the perspective on recent and unfolding events. Tonight, we begin with the Federal Executive Council, which raises the hopes for an improved power sector, following the approval for the installation of more power substations in the country. And from the Red Chambers comes the confirmation of the 7 ministerial nominees to fill the vacant cabinet positions. And in politics, it is a mixed grill ranging from defections and the big question of what next after party primaries, just as we beam our searchlight on continuous voter registration. In faraway Lisbon, ocean economy, or shall I call it blue, and ocean health are some of the talking points as key players gather for the United Nations Ocean Conference. Also tonight, we shall shine the spotlight on how the jerrycans now hold sway on the streets of the nation's capital. Agriculture gets a bit of attention amidst the wake-up call towards mitigating the risk of starvation in the northeast. Elsewhere is the curiosity of the safety of borehole water. And remember Amira, whose fake kidnap story trended like wildfire on social media? She was arraigned in court and judgment was delivered. Find out the verdict, as well as the latest moves by the NDLEA to counter the nefarious activities of drug peddlers. These are just snippets of tonight's outlook, so stay with us for the complete package as the taste of the pudding lies in the eating. I am Fatima Umaruwa and this is News Extra. You're welcome. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. And let's head to Lisbon, where President Muhammadu Buhari is in Lisbon, Portugal, on a state visit at the invitation of President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports that the Nigerian leader is visiting for the first time since coming to power over 7 years ago.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who arrived Air Force Military Base Lisbon about 9:30 Tuesday evening, was accorded a befitting welcome by top Portuguese and Nigerian government officials. During the visit, President Buhari is scheduled to hold bilateral talks with his Portuguese counterpart on Thursday, where he will be conferred with the country's national honor, the Great Collar of the Order of Prince Henry. The two leaders are expected to witness the signing of some agreements and memoranda of understanding bordering on issues of mutual concern. The president will also visit the Portuguese parliament to hold discussions with his president, Dr. Augusto Santos Silva, as well as the Prime Minister, Antonio Costa. A forum of Nigerian and Portuguese businessmen will also be addressed by the president, after which separate meetings will be held with select Portuguese chief executive officers and prospective investors to Nigeria. President Buhari is also scheduled to participate in the United Nations Ocean Conference, co-hosted by the governments of Kenya and Portugal, as well as the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The conference aims to accelerate the adoption of science-based innovative solutions to challenges facing oceans and the global marine ecosystem.
These visits are important for Nigeria because we are reviving relationships that have been ignored for a long time. And in addition to that, these are important engagements that would also, help in the acceleration of our country's economic growth, the attraction of investors, creation of jobs, and the general upliftment of the quality of life of our own people. So these visits have to be done in order that these clearly set out objectives can be achieved. Every country has a vision of its place in international affairs. And this cannot be accomplished without engagements. So you have to engage the countries of the world. And the president has set a vision for the place of Nigeria in international affairs. Obviously, this he has to follow up, and he has been doing it in a way to convince the world, to send the message across that we are ready, we are prepared to give the kind of leadership that the world expects from the continent's largest economy, the country with the largest population in Africa.
Before departing Lisbon, the Nigerian leader will also be engaging members of the Nigerian community in Portugal on matters affecting them and developments at home. From Lisbon, Portugal, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Still in Lisbon, with the livelihoods of about 40% of the world's population living at or near a coast, Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, while addressing the UN Ocean Conference, says the global community must embrace multilateralism to strengthen sustainable ocean-based economies and manage coastal ecosystem. Onyefe Faith reports.
The oceans contribute to food security.
Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the new WTO agreement on fisheries subsidies, finally concluded after 21 years, takes a major step in protecting ocean health by curbing the estimated $22 billion in annual support that contributes to the depletion of marine resources and bans subsidies that contribute to illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing.
Specifically, the agreement establishes a fund starting at $10 million but going up to $20 million or more to provide technical assistance and capacity building to developing countries, helping them implement the new rules and improve their fisheries management.
Ensuring ocean ecosystem health, supporting livelihoods and driving economic growth requires targeted support for key sectors, including fisheries and aquaculture, tourism, energy, shipping and port services.
So that countries can achieve blue or sustainability by addressing the impacts of climate change on ocean health and marine pollution, be resilient by building adaptation and resilience, for instance through integrated coastal and marine management and protecting natural capital, and be inclusive by unleashing the benefits through driving growth, creating livelihoods and jobs, and help strengthen food security.
With millions employed worldwide in fishing and fish farming, mostly in developing countries, this session on promoting and strengthening sustainable ocean-based economies insists that healthy and resilient marine and coastal ecosystems are fundamental to sustainable development. Onengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
And back home, the Federal Executive Council approves the installation of more power substations as the federal government continues its intervention in the power sector. FEC also approves a proposal by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, that will raise revenue by 3.96 trillion naira per annum from non-oil sector and 160 billion naira per annum for the oil sector. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports on these and other decisions taken by the Federal Executive Council at its meeting this Wednesday.
The federal government continues its intervention in the power sector as the Federal Executive Council at its meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo approves 2 memos for the ministry towards the award of contracts for the installation of some substations. The Minister, Abubakar Aliyu, explains further on this.
The first memo seeks to give contract for design, supply, and installation of 1 by 60 MVA, 132 33 kV transmission substation with associated 4 by 132 kV line bay extension at Hong local government in Adamawa State.
The installation of this substation, as the minister explains, seeks to raise the capacity of the supply of electricity in that area. About 2 local government areas, it says, would enjoy this facility. The second memo approved for the ministry is also for the procurement of power transformers and associated spare parts for the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to be deployed to 6 locations. Ayede in Oyo State, Gusau in Zamfara State, Kakia in Katsina State, Mina in Niger State, Okiaro in Ogun State, and Damaturu in Yobe State, which is expected to have great impact on Maiduguri.
The dollar component is 22,670,416 dollars 33 cents, and the naira component is 5,141,954,927 naira to kobo.
Several memos were presented to the council during the 4.5 hours meeting. Among them is the one from the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, on accelerating revenue mobilization reforms, which is a part of the federal government's strategic revenue growth.
The significant progress that has been made in this that initiative includes the raising of the VAT from 5% to 7% and other measures since 2019. This particular initiative is something that is meant to address some of the fiscal challenges of the federal government, as it is intended to raise Nigeria's non-oil revenue potential. There are also other significant memos presented by the Attorney General of the Federation, which is on the accession of Nigeria to the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which was also approved.
The Minister of Water Resources also got his memo approved. The memo is for the implementation of the federal government component for the execution of rehabilitation, expansion, and upgrading of the Gombe Regional Water Supply Project, 938 million naira, which has been provided for in the 2022 budget as a counterpart fund for this, as approved by the Council, in line with the National Water Supply and Sanitation Policy. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
1 year is enough for the newly appointed ministers designate to make meaningful contributions to national development. This is coming from the Senate as it confirms the appointees. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
The ministers designate are Henry Iko from Abia State, former Commissioner for Industry, Science and Technology; Umana Akwa Ibom State, Director of Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority; Joseph Nkama, Commissioner for Industry in Ebonyi State; and Goodluck Opia, Commissioner for Petroleum Resources in Imo State. Others include Omar Ibrahim El Yakub, Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, House of Representatives; Ademola Adegoroye, Special Assistant to the Ondo State Governor; and Odum Udi from Rivers State, former Chairman, Abua Odua Local Government Area of Rivers State. They are expected to step into the shoes of those who stepped down. Senators demanded to know how they will contribute to job creation, industrialization, more revenue generation, and improved security.
This country, this great country, can build modular refinery in most of the Niger Delta state. We need to take advantage of that.
As Managing Director of the Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority, I have initiated a number of reforms.
Science degree in business education, specializing in management. I also have a master's degree in corporate governance obtained from Leeds Metropolitan University in the United Kingdom.
The President needs us to succeed. And of course, Nigerians look up to us to ensure their safety, their security.
The nominees also expressed concern on the lingering ASUU strike.
And we know that from the same source, the same national pulse, there are several contending interests seeking attention from the national pulse. My advice would be that government and ASUU will have to come to a compromise.
I'm not blaming them. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not saying they don't have a right to disagree with government. But in doing this, the interest of Nigeria, the interest of our children, the interest of the city, of the system must always, be thought about.
In any capacity, helping Mr. President to execute his programs faithfully.
The 1 year that you will be in office is a long period because it depends on what we do. You could be there for 1 year, but your impact could be there like you've been there for 10 years.
The senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Philip Aduda, once again raised the constitutional point of order, stressing that a minister should be appointed from the Federal Capital Territory.
That FCT should be recognized and accorded that right whereby a minister can be appointed from the FCT to represent the FCT at the Federal Executive Council.
Senate resolved to send a delegation to London to visit former Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, and to engage the British High Commission to ensure justice is sustained in his trial. Senator Ibrahim Shekarau defected from the APC to the NNPP. APC now has 64 senators, PDP 38, NNPP 4, ABGA 1, YPP 1, and Labour Party 1. Senate has adjourned plenary to Tuesday, the 19th of July 2022 for Salah break. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
Meanwhile, a legislation that seeks financial inclusion for young people in Nigeria through the establishment of Entrepreneurship Development Bank has passed second reading at the House of Representatives. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has that.
The bill, jointly sponsored by Benjamin Kalu and Olalekan Afolabi, contains provisions that will make easy access to finance for small businesses from the Entrepreneurship Development Bank in the form of medium and long-term loans.
Financial inclusion of the youth has a ripple effect in curing poverty and other indices of the SDG.
Other bills passed at second reading include bill to establish Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery in Delta State, sponsored by Thomas Eritomi, bill to establish Federal College of Education Technical Ogun State, sponsored by Isiaka Ibrahim, and the bill from House Leader Alhassan Adudugwa seeking amendment to the Education Correspondence Colleges Accreditation Act. Plenary featured the adoption of resolutions to investigate oil spills and abandoned oil wells and subsidy of petroleum products from 2017 to 2021.
Nigeria has probably one of the worst oil spill records in the world, with over 4,119 oil spills between 2015 and 2021.
The NNPC uses 65 million to 100 million liters per day to determine subsidy as recovery from NNPC's monthly reports to the Federal Allocation Committee, FAC.
House members have urged government agencies to assist victims of flood disaster in Ibadan, which destroyed lives and property following a motion from Stanley Olajide.
If urgent action is not taken immediately to address the flooding situation in these areas, in Ibadan Northwest Southwest Federal Constituency, the communities could be completely wiped out, leaving them with no place to live, similar to what we had in the Omiyale situation.
The lawmakers also urge relevant authorities to curb attacks in parts of Adamawa State and address communal clashes between communities in Cross River State. Meanwhile, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate duplication of functions among ministries, departments and agencies of government in order to have them streamlined.
Establish areas of mergers, synergies and justification of the existence of some of the established ministries, departments, agencies, boards and corporations. This committee is expected to come up with solutions to the apparent continuous conflict of functions and avoidable bickering among the established ministries, departments and agencies, resulting in ineffectiveness, inefficiency and redundancy in the government workforce.
Our task is different from that of Olusoya Committee. Their major concern was to reduce the cost of governance. Ours is to merge and, if need be, scrap some in order to bring about efficiency.
The exercise will chart a new course for the civil service. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Let's talk politics. Now that party primaries are over and the electorates are rushing for their permanent voter cards, parties as well as politicians are gearing up for political campaigns. The concern for INEC is the need for political parties to stick to the campaign guidelines. Aisha Uba Ali takes a look at modalities.
Part of the political process in a democratic setting to conduct primary elections that enable the fronting of candidates in various political platforms for various positions ahead of a general election. 8 months to the general elections, the electorate are clamoring for a small but a significant card which will enable them exercise their franchise and also determine the fate of the nation.
Let me vote the person that my heart is saying that this is the right person. Whether the person wins or loses, I know that I've done my part.
If they bring the money, you eat the money. But I'm going to vote the correct, candidate.
Some opinion believe that the 2022 Electoral Act has been adopted with the intention to strengthen and enhance electoral processes. This can be seen as INEC launches a portal for the first time for parties to upload their candidates. However, this laudable initiative is not without a hitch.
There was a time the portal was not even working. It was there was a problem for hours, and they are aware of it. We told them so, but we felt if they could increase the hours, we could make up.
Although INEC is yet to resolve some of these problems, it has also advised that parties should stick to the guidelines of carrying out campaigns.
There are always guidelines. After this CVR, guidelines will be issued. This is the time to start political campaign. This is the time to end it. This is how you are going to campaign. This is how much you can campaign. This is how you should let us know how much you have for campaign to monitor that one.
And some politicians are on the same page with INEC on this, as campaigns should be done with decorum.
All those sentiments in the face of glaring realities will take a backseat in this campaign.
For INEC, they believe that politicians and political parties should see themselves as critical stakeholders that they are. In Abuja, Aisha Uba Ali, NTA News.
In the meantime, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has been formally presented to the umbrella bodies of trade unions in Nigeria. Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress are convinced that Peter Obi's ticket will address the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. David Ire reports.
The trade unions are no longer willing to be onlookers in the decision-making and policy formulation processes in the country. They want to take advantage of their numerical strength, align with the population of the youths, especially the unemployed and underemployed, to change the narrative and install a government of their own through the ballot come 2023. The Peter Obi ticket of Labour Party is therefore their best bet. They are convinced that mobilizing and galvanizing the workers is not a challenge with the labor union structures already in place.
This can only work if we have leaders that are willing to connect with the people, hear from the people, know the problem of the people, and then work to address those issues.
I think that it is important that we all rally around this effort, lift the Labour Party, and talk and build for the future of our country.
For Peter Obi and the party, Nigerian workers can now decide for themselves whether what they want are in all the options now laid bare in the candidates of all the political parties.
There's a lot of us who are contesting to be president today. We have 8 months. Go and scrutinize our family. Let's know where they are coming. And nobody come and treat them through proxy. Let them come in front. So we hear from their mouth. A lot of Nigerians who never bother to pick their PVCs, who didn't even bother to register, are today queuing up to register and pick their PVCs.
Labour Party, though a creation of the Nigerian Trade Union, is yet to enjoy the full support of the workers since its creation.
In
Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
And with less than 3 weeks to the Osun State governorship election, the governing All Progressives Congress APC in Osun has witnessed a massive movement into the party by loyalists and leaders of the People's Democratic Party PDP, who have declared their support and loyalty to the Progressives Party in the state. The defectors were received into the party by the national leaders of the APC at a mega rally in Osogbo. Bolaji Akim has that.
But defectors whose numbers cut across different wards and local government areas of Osun State were received at Nelson Mandela Freedom Park in Osogbo by the APC National Secretary, Senator Iyola Omisori, and other party stalwarts. The defectors led by Wale Ojo, former factional PDP state chairman, include PDP chieftain and former member of House of Representatives representing Ife Federal Constituency, Honorable John Fashogbon, Albert Adeogun, running mate to PDP candidate in the 2018 governorship election, and Ayodele Asalu, former member House of Representatives from Ede. The defectors said their decision to dump PDP for APC in Osun State was as a result of their outstanding performance of Governor Oyetola since assumption of office.
The first 4 years of Oyetola, he tried to change the change. He really changed the change. That is why I decided to join him.
One of the credits you can give to Oyetola, there are too many to recount in a minute. But I want to tell you that we have come to collaborate with him, to assist him, so that I can do better for Osun State.
APC National Secretary Senator Iyola Omisori, who welcomed them, described their decision as thoughtful and noble at the right time, stressing that APC is the party that genuinely cares for the interests of the masses.
So it shows that the party has gone far. So that is the potency, encouragement that people as a massive role of the difference between APC and PDP. From candidates to leadership to structure and network of the people. Leaders of party, of former party, especially people, shows commitment, forthrightness in their thought.
Osun State Governor Boyiga Oyetola, who could not hide his joy at the massive turnout of party supporters and loyalists, assured the defectors that there is no discrimination in APC.
The election is supposed to be free and fair. Let everybody exercise you are right. That's anything. We don't do violence. The state is the most free state in Nigeria, and I want it so.
In Osogbo, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
From Osogbo, let's head to Lagos, where Lagosians are leaving nothing to chance to be registered and get their permanent voter cards in preparation for the 2023 general election. Annie Daniels reports that this has resulted in an upsurge of eligible candidates at the various INEC registration centers across the state.
In their desire to exercise their franchise come 2023, Nigerians, mostly youths, besieged INEC registration centers across Lagos State to register and get their permanent voter cards.
But when you go there, they will give you problem, and I can't stand see people fighting.
One thing I will assure you, for the first time, we're going to have the highest number of voter turnout in Nigeria. That means we're going to have a lot of new voters, we're going to have first-time voters. That's people who have cards but never went out to vote. And I think the turnout will make a difference.
That seems to be the case here at the Lagos State INEC office. A lot of people who are yet to register and get their PVCs.
And as at the time I got here by 7 this morning, at the time I got here, I'm number 201, and as you can see, it's past 11. I'm here to go inside.
Whenever I see you, and I'll be very well.
Inside the Lagos State INEC office, we met young Nigerians desperately waiting to register and pick up their permanent voter cards.
In Lagos State, over 600,000 are done online, but as of yesterday, only 338,955 have done the completed exercise, which means only just about 50% of those that have done online will collect their PVCs. Therefore, we have other activities to follow. before the PVCs will be ready for collection.
We were also informed that presently there are 149 machines across Lagos State, with 6 of those machines here at the Lagos State INEC office. To curb the upsurge, NTA News was reliably informed that additional machines will be sent to the state soon. On the closer examination, I also got to know that issues like lost, defaced or damaged PVCs and transfer cases are more issues presented to INEC officials. Nigerians are also advised to ensure they pick up their PVCs at the local government areas across Lagos State. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Thank you, Annie. Let's take some time out at this point. When News Extra returns, we shall take you to the streets of Abuja, where the jerrycan boys hold sway at the moment. Get the full details of this and more in just a moment. Great to have you back on News Extra. And COVID-19 drives global surge in use of digital payments as the NGX capital market closes flat. Musa Abakar will tell us all about it on Business News. Musa, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatima. Let's begin by telling you the COVID-19 pandemic has spurred financial inclusion, driving a large increase in digital payments amid the global expansion of formal financial services. This expansion created new economic opportunities, narrowing the gender gap in account ownership and building resilience at the household level to better manage financial shocks, according to the Global Findex 2021 database. The report by the World Bank released this Wednesday indicates that the pandemic has also led to an increased use of digital payments in low and middle income economies. Over 40% of adults who made merchant in-store or online payments using a card, phone or the internet did so for the first time since the start of the pandemic. The same was true for more than a third of adults in all low and middle income economies who paid a utility bill directly from a formal account. In developing economies, 71% have an account at a bank, other financial institution, or with a mobile money provider, up from 63% in 2017 and 42% in 2011. Energy oil prices declined on Wednesday with tight supply worries not enough to outweigh concerns about a weaker global economy. CNBC reports that Brent crude futures for August settled 1.46% lower at $116.26, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures settled 1.77% lower at $109.78. Stocks were flat midweek as massive sell-off continues to hit big cap stocks. At the end of the day's session, the all-share index closed at 51,802.48 points, with equity capitalization ending the session at 27.9 trillion naira. 416 billion shares value at 3.4 billion naira exchange hands in 4,466 deals. Mutual benefits topped the activity chart with 212.5 million shares, trailed by a distant guarantee trust holding company and the UBA. That's Business News. Fatima, it's over to you now.
Thank you, Abakar. Pay your taxes on all sources of income and enjoy the good things of life. This was the thrust of conversations at a webinar organized by the Federal Inland Revenue Service in a bid to reduce government borrowing by ensuring effective voluntary compliance to tax remittances. And Benny Adams has details of that conversation.
Reforming tax compliance and enforcement tools for an enhanced tax administration in Nigeria is the theme of the webinar. The talking points centered on making tax compliance a lifestyle for all eligible taxpayers, and to achieve that, the FIRS believes that making tax payments simple using various tools and initiatives is the way to go.
All stakeholders are enjoined to make taxation as a black gold to become the primary source of revenue needed to fund the budgetary requirement of this country.
whether reform efforts, whether tools initiative that we are deploying, everything we are doing is to make life easy for the taxpayer to comply without much hassles.
The FRS says for quick responses to inquiries, a call center that understands every language and issue is available every hour of every day and night.
In case if the agent cannot give you answer correctly or in detail, he can connect you with the subject matter expert that can tell you all about your questions and inquiries.
The FRS also reminds the tax-paying public of consequences in times of violation.
As of today, there is no waiver of penalty and interest. When you have an arrear of payment, you pay the principal, you pay the penalty, and you pay the attendant interest.
The interaction between the FRS and the public is expected to hold every 3 months. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, is challenging members to remain a force for change by encouraging fair and honest financial dealings. This was at a 3-day fraud summit organized by the association in Abuja, with the theme, Driving Sustainable Economic Development Agenda for Africa. Nneka Oku reports.
It is estimated that Africa loses between $50 to $60 billion annually through illicit financial flows. This includes money from tax evasion and other fraudulent activities, which undermine the continent's development and governance agenda. Also, the world's largest anti-fraud organization, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, estimates that internationally, occupational fraud committed by employees generates on average losses of more than 5% of a company's income. Despite being a real threat to every sector of the economy, the good news is that solutions exist, and that is what this fraud summit by ANAN seeks to unravel.
I've always held that one of the reasons why we have never succeeded in combating fraud is because of the failure of the deterrent factor. If you say that if somebody is found guilty, jail him. And when we don't hold the chief executives accountable, we open the way for fraud. And people feel that they can get away with anything.
So the biggest prevention mechanism for fraud is effective governance. It's a governance system that works, is effective, is capable, and to not just make sure, and also an audit system with that, to not just make sure that you minimize fraud, but that when it happens, you're more likely to detect it, and therefore by detecting it, you have the evidence to prosecute and hold it accountable.
What we are saying is the fact that we should all go back to fine-tune and redefine our control mechanism. Accountant as we are, we hold office where we execute the internal control that is being put in place by the establishment. So it is when there is loophole in the internal control procedure that people have means of siphoning.
Conversations at the summit centered around how small steps towards fraud reversal and improving the business climate can change the dynamics of driving sustainable development agenda. In Abuja, Nneka Oku, NTA News.
In another story, the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Melekari, is making a case for a practicable exchange rate that will be suitable for independent marketers to import petroleum products into the country. This was part of the GMD's suggestions while briefing the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, investigating the increase in prices of diesel and cooking gas. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Amin reports.
Increase in the cost of diesel and cooking gas due to reduction in the electricity supply in Nigeria. The basis of this investigative hearing, the scarcity and hike in the price of other petroleum products, formed the crossed explanation tendered by the Group Managing Director of the NNPC.
Make sure that oil marketers are able to import and there's need to engage the CVN and all of us so that we can create more dollars, which can only come from increased production of crude oil. That will dampen the effect of people going to buy dollar in the open market, so that you can have a cheaper dollar, and therefore definitely it will affect the price.
The aim of the investigation is to ensure proper regulation that will make the petroleum products available and affordable in the country.
This joint committee strongly believes with proper coordination and synergy between our regulatory authorities, depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, and other stakeholders, the desired objectives of the regulation will yield positive results.
The committee's report will be submitted to the House for further legislation that will complement the federal government effort towards finding a lasting solution that will guide the deregulated sector. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, peddlers of petrol, popularly referred to as fuel black marketers, have virtually taken over the streets of Abuja, hawking the highly inflammable products in major areas of the city. Lydia Samson reports that the reappearance of the peddlers in making a mockery of the intermittent clampdown by regulatory authorities.
They now boldly adorn the streets of Abuja and its environs. The jerrycans, the most important part of their identity, placed strategically to attract intending buyers.
Right here, around Area 11 Junction, most of the petrol stations don't have products at the moment. But as you can see right behind me, petrol peddlers are taking over the streets. And the question on everyone's lips is, where are they getting their products?
Their audacity is such that they are standing right in front of either petrol stations or security agencies. They continue to be highly innovative in their approach, despite clampdown by regulators. The speed with which they again storm the streets and the disregard for the dangers in handling petrol, which is highly inflammable, is of great concern. Another challenge is the continuous disruption to the supply chains, as well as the allegations that peddlers are fed by some petrol stations.
What step will be taken, even though we've had the people say they are getting the harvest in collaboration with other stakeholders?
Well, we have been engaging with the key marketers. We advise them to warn their station managers to stop selling to jerrycan boys, because that is what is causing part of the problem. We already promised them that once they do not, we are going to shut the station, maybe deal with the particular station that is affected by those.
For now, until round-the-clock monitoring and stringent measures are deployed, experts say the streets will continue to be defaced by petrol peddlers. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
In the next segment of News Extra, agriculture and food security get attention. Join us for the latest moves by the federal government to ensure livestock survival and nutrition as correspondent takes a peep into the burden of being an ordinary pastoralist amidst unpleasant developments in contemporary time. Join us again. Thanks for staying. Let's now talk about grass. Yes, grass. Animals sourcing grass to feed on has been a major social and economic concern, threatening the peace and unity of the country. But one will wonder why livestock breeders cannot afford to acquire land, plant and produce pasture for their animals. In this report, Musa Baba Ali examines the economic benefits of planting grass for pasture, as the federal government dedicates a day as Pasture Planting Day.
Grass everywhere, but not all are edible for animals. And this explains why some animals, especially cattle, sheep and goats, move around grazing areas, selecting edible grasses. These cattle here are grazing freely without molestation. This is because the land is federal government dedicated grazing area. Though this area vast and small animal population grazing on it, yet edible grasses are not sufficient for the animals. This ceremony, taking place a few meters from where these animals are grazing, is the flagging off of the National Pasture Development Program of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. The idea is to educate cattle breeders on the benefit of planting grasses for their animals or for commercial purposes.
So sincerely speaking, this is to serve as a panacea solution for reduction in conflict emanating from cattle movement, attainment of self-sufficiency in food quality, pasture and forage production, and the transition from extensive grazing to well-planned, settled form of livestock production.
The Emir of Muri from Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, who is also a cattle breeder, spoke about the economic value of the pasture business.
So let's turn the pasture into an economic element that it is. So those who own the land, we encourage them to produce the grass and sell it to those who do not own land and to those who have land but have no water. At the end of the day, we are building the economy of Nigeria comfortably, honorably, and futuristically.
It is in this same vein that we welcome the National Pastoral Development Program with the hope that it will help revitalize the livestock subsector towards meeting its expected potentials in terms of increase in foreign exchange earnings for the country.
To ensure the program goes beyond ceremonial fanfare, indigenous pasture seeds were distributed to both livestock and crop producers. To this end, June 28 every year has been set aside as Pasture Planting Day to strengthen the commitment of not only making grass available for grazing, but also ending farmers-herders conflicts. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, they are rejected and maligned by the society, treated with suspicion by their own, while stealing their only means of livelihood, the complicated life of an ordinary pastoralist. Abdullahi Mohammed visited some local ranches known as Ruga, where many Fulani cattle breeders are nursing the wounds of cattle rustling.
Off Galadimawa Dogondo Road, shielding the village of Kubanizubairu in Giwa local government area of Kaduna State, is the Kufaina Rock. In the village, Alhaji Haruna, a Fulani pastoralist who lost his shield to the evil hands of cattle rustlers. Cattle dung and empty space is all left of the more than 500 cows he had. Now he lives from hand to mouth with a cock crow, chicken and chicks, and few calves, his ray of hope.
The first time they came, they abducted my children.
A guide to Tankarau in Zaria local government area, the community a cattle breeding ground. But these exposed them to nights of terror with trails of sorrow. Their loved ones sacrificed when hundreds of their cattle were being stolen. What is left? Manure from the field where the animals spend their nights, been salvaged for the farms. They have finally thrown away the mangoes and the flies have left, but not without damaging consequences.
They have stolen our identity.
This is a catastrophe. People are migrating.
Malam Haruna is among millions of herdsmen who are caught in the middle of the consequences of kidnapping, cattle rustling and banditry. But there are some who count themselves lucky. But how do they defend the proceeds of that luck?
For the family of Abubakar in Tohum Markuna, Sabangari local government area of Kaduna State, a double-edged sword scenario. Watching over the animals' feed, come rain, come shine. And the nights passed keeping vigil on the same animals. Knees down, hands up for divine protection against cattle rustlers.
When it's dark, you can't sleep. In fact, I always count the cows.
They are not alone in these. Miyati Allah and other interest groups are also disturbed by the frustrating condition of the ordinary pastoralists.
We have also about 4 million pastoralist children that are out of school. and we have over 2 million persons that are displaced from the pastoralist families due to one crisis or the other.
Back into Hunmarkuna, it's another peaceful daybreak. Struggling with the calves, the cows are milked. Breakfast is served, and the day once again gives way to dusk. The crave for sleep with the 2 eyes closed beckons, and that can only be when the pages of the book of cattle rustling are flipped over. Abdullahi Muhammad, NT News.
What a special breakfast in the world, and hopefully that chapter closes for the white wine to flow the more. Abdullahi, nice one from there. Now let's head to Kebbi. Now, to something not pleasant at all. The rice farmers in Arugungu are counting their losses following the destruction of thousands of acres of their rice farms by Quail birds. Abokar has more on the report.
On the major parts of the Argungu Fadama could affect the rice production in the area and by extension the country at large. Some farmers explained that compared to the previous attacks by the birds, this is one of a kind, adding that when the birds descend on a farm for at least 5 minutes, there will be nothing left, no matter its size.
We have encountered losses 100% because of these birds. As I'm talking to you now, I'm now a laborer because of the birds. This disaster of koala birds, as you can see, have destroyed all the farms, and it's forcing us to harvest the rice before it is time. And there is nothing a farmer can do. Immediately after morning prayers, one has to be in the farm until 7 p.m. before one can leave. Any effort one put to ensure that he has a bumper harvest, at once the birds will come and destroy the farm just within 30 minutes. I'm a victim of the disruption. There is where I do harvest more than 10 sacks of rice, but I only harvest 4 now.
Malam Nasiru Kokani, a former lecturer at the College of Agriculture, Zuru, will speak on the likely effects of the attack on the nation's food security, mindful of the strategic position of Kebbi State.
The food security is at once a very good thing, because if the colony of this weather was done to your farm for 5 minutes,
what is the extent of the destruction caused by the birds?
If you can, from the birds, when all conditions are equal, you can have about 170 watts per hectare. Now, with this birds, you can have as much as just a foot, because you can trade long down.
He appealed for quick intervention from the government for a lasting solution to the recurring menace. Abubakar, NTA.
Benue State is no doubt endowed with both natural and human resources, of which River Benue is one of them. However, the potential of this river is yet to be fully harnessed. Godwin Alego examines the need to dredge the river to maximize its potential for development.
River Benue is the second largest river in Nigeria after River Niger. It derives its source from the Adamawa Plateau, from where the river flows west of Garua and Ladgo Reservoir into Nigeria, south of the Mandara Mountains, through Benue before meeting River Niger at Lokoja. The river, which is approximately 1,400 kilometers long, serves as an important transportation route in the regions through which it flows. Currently, some of the major activities on and off the river are fishing, sand and gravel excavation, small-scale farming, the use of locally manufactured wooden boats as means of transportation, as well as block molding.
The river has become so shallow, and we find it difficult to pass through with our boats. So we can't use big boats to carry sharp sand and gravel. We only use small boats now. So the dredging of the river will be very, very important.
Anytime when the river dried up, sometimes this mud always disturbing us. We find it difficult. Even as you can see, you can look at the other tip and they have still parking the motor at the other side.
Stakeholders in the water resources say the river, if dredged, can pave way for the establishment of a river port for lighter ships to come in, commercial agriculture through irrigation, thus creating job opportunities for the people.
We're telling the federal government that they should help us dredge the river, especially during the dry season. The river is somewhat like an island. If this water is properly taken care of, both dry season and rainy season, a lot of food, and then utilize it for so many activities. If
the water law is addressed and the clauses that are disturbing examined, I think the government will be in a better position to invest in the river banks and will bring projects that will have meaning in the lives of the people. But as it stands now, if the river is not dredged, I want to tell you that we will move nowhere.
From the foregoing, it is clear that unless River Benue is dredged, its full potential cannot be utilized. From Makudi, Godwin Inalebu, NTN News.
The failed portion of the Owan Bridge in Asa Local Government Area Council in Kwara State has claimed 2 lives. This is adding to the untold hardship on commercial activities in the area. Contract for the rehabilitation of the bridge built by the Engineering Corps of the Nigerian Army was awarded by the federal government since 2017. Kende Omolosho reports.
Our bridge in Asa local government area of Kwara State serves as a link between Kwara and Oyo states. The area is central to huge economic activities for startups and established businesses with the potential of boosting internally generated revenue for the state. However, the failed portion of the bridge has continued to worsen, now a death trap and an obstacle to farming activities and trading. The Ohambeli Bridge near Alapa is significant on many fronts. It is a bridge linking traders involved in businesses worth several millions of naira between Oyo and Kwara states. However, since its collapse, traders and commuters pass through grueling challenges in the efforts to make a living at all cost. Getting to the site of the bridge this morning, I saw a heavy-duty truck had an accident while trying to maneuver through the bridge. 2 lives were lost in the accident. Road users now go through this alternative route to get to their destinations. Waid Alaya, a transporter, has been plying the road for 15 years.
From Kayama, from Barita area also, they pass through this way. But since the collapse, there's problem for us. Every year, every time, every month, they will complain about this bridge. But there's no any help about it.
This bridge that is affected now is affecting one of our economic in our side, because our farmer used to come and buy chemical to go and spray their farm. There's no road for them to cross along into the Ilorin, and Ilorin people again, they used to go to Kayama market to go and buy food. But now everything has collapsed because of this bridge.
The appeal of road users is for the federal government to resume work on the construction of the new bridge awarded in 2017 to boost economic activities in the area. Kende Omolosho, NT News.
In the meantime, Borno State, which has suffered most of the insurgency, is urging all key players and donor agencies to put in place immediate, medium and long-term measures that will ensure food security for the citizenry during the lean season. This is against the projection by the United Nations of a possible 8.1 million people vulnerable and over 4 million said to be at risk of starvation due to severe food shortage, especially during the projected season. Jadwa Jasani reports.
The over 12 years insurgency in Borno State has halted various socio-economic and agricultural activities, cutting across trans-border trade, small and medium investment in rural areas, including fish farming in the Lake Chad region, among others, which were once basic sources of living. Having caused displacement of thousands of communities, the conflict has also increased the humanitarian need of the citizenry, which necessitated federal, state government as well as NGOs and well-meaning individuals to sustain support to the IDPs with immediate food and livelihood interventions to cushion their hardships. Director General of SEMA says using the CADA Harmonize, a framework to measure acute food nutrition insecurity challenges, revealed that over 1.4 million people in Borno are food insecure and most likely to hit 1.9 million during the lean season, noting that 20 local governments will be affected, hence the request of $1.1 billion for the 2022 humanitarian response plan by the UN and partners.
SEMA is taking the lead
to launch some special humanitarian program. But the government has already started stocking food, mobilizing resources from all directions to see that food is well stocked.
Humanitarian partners in the state are of the opinion that building resilience of victims, creating safety measures for farmers as well as trading to thrive will go a long way in consolidating efforts of government and other partners.
The needs are still many. A lot of people still need to be assisted. If continuous funding comes in, we should be able to reach more people, and then we can see more improvement in food security and livelihoods.
The only way to address this is to have the fees and to ensure that those that return to their community will guarantee their security so that they can go back to the farm.
Stakeholders say, indeed, the Borno State government and other partners have done their best in ensuring food security even in the face of daunting challenges, but still more needs to be done to ensure that starvation does not take root during this lean season with lots of resettled communities back home. In Maiduguri, Jadwa Jesni, NTA News.
Thank you, Jadwa. Now, clean water and sanitation are essential for health and well-being of any society. Lagos State has over time struggled to meet the water needs of the teeming population, leaving the people to resort to alternative resources and sources of water for daily use. Musa Tolet in this report takes a look at the prevalence of borehole, its safety, and other alternative sources of water supply in Lagos.
Achieving universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all by 2030 is captured in United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This informed the advocacy by United Nations that governments across the world must take action and address availability of clean and safe water. In Lagos, effort by the state government to provide potable water for residents has not yielded positive results, and residents have resorted to sourcing water supply from boreholes. But there are safety concerns.
Going by the recent pronouncement by the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, that water supply from borehole across the metropolis may not be entirely safe for consumption, residents here in Sule local government area have always relied heavily on water supply from borehole for their daily activities.
Even though that the commissioner might be right, we had to install purifiers before we can actually drink it.
However, some residents cannot be bothered by the safety alert raised on water supply from borehole.
I drink water even from well, and nothing has happened to me, so I think it's safe for me.
Since we cannot see the agent in the water with our naked eyes, so there's nothing we can do other than just to do our best and leave the rest to God.
We don't know where they take the water from, but what we know that they take it from other places, which is they have borehole. They went there and fetch their water. That's where they get their water.
For these women in food business, the process of cooking kills any form of dangerous pathogens in borehole water, hence no cause for alarm.
It has to go through process. You know, before you make amala, you have to boil the water. So everything would still have to go through fire, and with that is safe enough.
Some of them are suffering from ailment here and there. It could be what is responsible for the ailment. And for the Commissioner of Health to say that, must have had statistics of diseases in hospitals. And they know that most of these diseases are water related. And that is why it's cautioning.
There's a serious need for us to be very careful when we're digging borehole. And that also goes back to the government that, okay, we need to provide to ensure adequate water supply in ensuring that we fulfill the demand, to discourage people from digging more boreholes.
Respondents believe a viable water supply alternative should be provided by the Lagos State government to keep the citizenry safe and enhance sanitation across the state. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Now, the moment for decision on Amira and her fake kidnap story came for the courts. Find out the judgment when News Extra returns from this next break we are about to take. To stay. Welcome. They say 9 days for the thief, 1 day for the owner. That 1 day came for one Amira Sufyan, who faked her kidnap, but he's now before an FCT Chief Magistrate Court, Wuse Abuja. Olabode Arewa reports that the defendant's false claims were made using the social media.
The defendant, Amira Sufyan, was arraigned in court by the police on a one-count charge of lying to a public servant specifically for sending out a false information through Twitter that she had been kidnapped by some people in police outfits. Her action, which took place on 14th June this year, generated public reaction, leading to the police swinging into action to rescue her and 16 others she falsely claimed were kidnapped along with her. Police investigations revealed that she lied, an offense contrary to Section 140 of the Penal Code. Upon her arraignment this Wednesday, she pleaded guilty to the one-count charge. The prosecutor, James Idachaba, tendered exhibits indicating that Amira had a mental illness which may have influenced her actions. He prayed the court to give her a non-custodial sentence, since her defense counsel, Chinyere Moneme, did not oppose the motion. Presiding Magistrate Chukwuemeka Nweke agreed and ordered that she should be released conditionally to a probation officer to enable her undergo a 12-month psychiatric care.
The act has been committed, but the mental state is a little bit not established because it's not of a sound mind.
I would say it's justice for the defendant, for the society itself, and for the police force.
During the period of her probation, she must be of good behavior to qualify for a final discharge under the terms of her sentencing. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
In the meantime, education is a phenomenon that liberates an individual from slavery, while the university is like the boombox of a nation. The education subsectors, especially tertiary institutions in Nigeria, have witnessed incessant closure due to industrial actions. The impact of this instability has caused and is still causing tremendous setbacks. Olanka Ojo in this report looks at effects of strike on the education sector and students.
It is an established fact that education is the backbone of human civilization and the driver for socio-economic development of all nations. However, the education sector in Nigeria, especially at the tertiary level, has in the last 30 years suffered unprecedented distractions due to industrial actions. Between 1979 till date, crises arising from unpaid teachers' salaries and allowances, degeneration of facilities, and other issues have led to several closures. The National Universities Commission records shows that from 1992 till date, more than 24 strikes have been embarked on by unions in tertiary level. Whatever the reason for the incessant long strikes, experts express the fear that more students may drop out, while those who complete their education may come out half-baked.
ASU should not look only at what they can get and the quality of the universities and all that. What of the quality of students they're getting now? Are they satisfied with those ones?
When you go to school this week and you don't go next week, you kind of lose focus.
Emmanuel Valentine is a 400 level philosophy student at the University of Abuja.
The opportunity to learn how to trade, have a POS. Although I'm not the one working, like my friend of mine was working for me, and I generated the money from trading.
And we know employment age at least 25 has really disrupted my plan and stuff. But how have I been able to catch? I've been able to build myself on graphic designing, and I also do broadcasts.
I don't know, they should just settle themselves. If possible, they can end this assaulting because it's not benefiting the students.
Parents whose children remain at home while they ought to be in school are torn between pleading with both governments and the lecturers.
They are in the school. What they are doing at home now, they will not do it. They will be concentrating on their studies.
At least they should be human in their demands.
Regardless of the ongoing strike, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, in its effort to boost infrastructure in the nation's tertiary institutions, recently commenced the disbursement of direct intervention funds approved by the federal government to public universities, polytechnics and colleges of education across the country. Olanka Ojo, NTA News.
Drug traffickers and their sponsors have no choice but to quit, as the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it will not relent in waging war against them. and their cohorts. Area Commander in the LEA Tinkan Port Special Area Commander Papa Mohammed Abubakar reiterated this at his sensitization walk and lecture to call attention to the health implication and other ills associated with drug abuse in Lagos. Diana Ajali reports.
Current statistics by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, put Nigeria's prevalence rate on drugs at 14.4%, which is approximately 15 million people. Out of this huge number, about 80% are said to be youths. As the fight against curbing the menace of drug abuse and illicit trafficking continues, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency believes that, aside arresting those who indulge in such acts, effective collaboration and public awareness campaigns will go a long way in changing the narrative in Nigeria. The awareness work, which commenced from Tinkan Island Command Head Office at Papa Port, was taken round the various parts of the port axis down to Tinkan Island Trailer Park to advise individuals to say no to drug abuse.
What they are doing is just a good one, because this campaign have to start somewhere, and we have to take it down to our homes.
The event also featured lecture where participants were educated on signs of drug abuse on a person, health implications, and drug abuse effects on the society at large.
You should understand, they are the leaders of tomorrow, and you cannot be a leader while you are an addict. So the best thing that could happen to any youth is to desist completely from drug.
Area Commander, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Tinkan Special Area Command Apapa, Mohammed Abubakar, noted that the agency will continue to suppress the supply of illicit drugs across the country.
Very soon, NDLEA is going to launch 24 hours, 7 days call center, whereby anybody, that, like people who are operating with stigmatization, that is coming forward to show themselves as a user or addict to these drugs, they can call within the anonymity of their bedrooms or wherever they are, and they can be advised.
So far, between January to June 2022, a total of 1.739 kilograms of various drugs, such as cannabis indica, otherwise known as Colorado, tramadol, among others, worth millions of naira, have been intercepted by National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Tinkan Island Special Area Command, Apapa Port, with 9 suspects arrested in connection with the seizure and have since been charged to court. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Let's do sports now. The gender gap between male and female football referees is being narrowed with the recognition of women referees in competitive games involving men. Austin Edemodo finds out what Nigeria is doing differently to ensure that female referees in Nigeria gain global attention.
In 2009, Felicia Okuba won the Best Nigerian Referee of the Year. Today, she's now CAF and FIFA referee technical instructor. She tells me how female referees are beating the odds to prove a point.
More training can expose them that this is not a men affair, that they can do it. It's not a men world. We can do it as well.
In a male-dominated profession, female referees around the globe are living up to the challenges of making a mark by handling crucial football matches at the highest level. This is evident in most professional leagues in Europe, where women serve as referees and match officials. Interestingly, 3 female referees and 3 female assistant referees have been chosen for the 2022 FIFA World Cup for the first time in men's edition. From Africa, one of them, Salima Mukasanga, is from Rwanda. Authorities at the Nigerian Football Federation are already preparing these young female Nigerian referees, Hannah Elaigu and numerous others, with the technical and physical support towards realizing their dreams.
We have a lot to do. We have FIFA Mimi, which is already in the World Cup list, and we have FIFA Madu Ndidi. Both of them, they are in the Women AFCON tournament. That is why you didn't see them here.
FIFA is now stressing that there's no gender in officiating now. If you can meet up with the standard of the men's league, you officiate.
The Nigerian Football Federation has been supporting the referees. In spite of their resources, we have always made sure that anytime they come their programs, we oblige them.
With training and retraining and exposure to modern techniques in refereeing, the authorities in Nigeria are beginning to ensure that Nigerian female referees find their footing to compete effectively at the international stage. I'm Austin Ejemot, NTA News.
And from sports, let's do a weather update for tomorrow, Thursday.
I expected over part of Adamawa, Taraba, Kano, Katsina, Zamfara, and Kabi in the morning with cloudy skies over the northeastern flank of the country. The north central region should expect thunderstorms and rains over part of Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, FCT, and Kwara in the morning. Down south, we do not expect significant change in their weather pattern, as thunderstorms should be their prevailing weather condition throughout the forecast period, with more intensity of thunderstorms and rain over the southwest inland cities and the coastal states. As we progress into afternoon evening period, more intensity of rainfalls over this northeastern flank of the country and cloudy skies over the northwestern states. The north central region, the inland cities of the south down to the coastal belt of the country should watch out for thunderstorms and rains. I remain Suleiman Gurin. Thank you for watching and bye for now.
Well, with the weather report, we end News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Don't forget that the fight against rape and rapists is still on, so be a star by connecting with the NTA. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Let's do this again next week. Bye.